Places.
Thank you, places.
Thank you, places.
Thank you, places.
Thank you, places.
Hi, I'm Bethany Paolini, the proud theater director at Mandarin High School of Troupe 4871 of Jacksonville, Florida. We are so very proud to present to you the Laramie Project, a virtual presentation. As you may know, last week would have been our original show week for the Laramie Project at our school, but more specifically, April 2nd was opening night. Due to COVID-19, the production has been postponed, not canceled, postponed, until we have new show dates. And in order to commemorate and display all of these incredible students' hard work, we've decided to put together a presentation for you to enjoy beforehand. Please note this presentation may include adult language, violence, prejudice, death, and possibly some other PG-13 rated material. So if you have littles around, we ask that you watch this when they are not present, or you can distract them with Netflix like I am right now. Thank you so much. Per the lead playwright, Mr. Moises Kaufman, who we had the pleasure of meeting on Zoom last week, the royalties we've agreed on, all of that, we may not remove or substitute such language, specifically homophobic slurs. If we left those out, we would be breaking contract and the integrity of the play. The language is important to use so that we can tell Matthew's story with the proper weight it has. Should you find this type of content too offensive for your liking, we understand and we support you 100% if you choose not to watch this presentation. Thank you so much for understanding. With that being said, I would like to explain to you how this presentation will work. We will first begin by explaining the story behind the Laramie Project, the death of Matthew Shepard, divided among 3 parts. These parts will be defined in their own words by our student director, Skylar Gear, stage manager, Emily Nolan, and assistant stage manager, Caden Horton. After their share, you will watch a series of monologues by our student actors that will highlight each part of Matthew's story. Keep in mind, due to a lack of rehearsal time together, many of our students are not yet off book, which means they may be doing a little bit of reader's theater. So if you see a script in hand or they're looking off, or you can see that I am too, just understand that this is a new platform for us and we're all learning together. Once the storytelling and performances are over, we are going to invite all of our crew chiefs and designers to the stage, explaining design and plans for our production. After tech design has been explained, we will invite additional troupe members, actors, and stagehands alike to provide more insight on our rehearsal process, like who the technical tectonic theater project is, language studies that we did, and why we chose this play. Finally, we're going to wrap up this presentation with a few thank yous and ways you can learn more about our program here at Mandarin High School. Without further ado, my job is done. I'm now going to hand you over to Skylar Gear, our troupe president and student director of the Laramie Project.
Hi everyone, my name is Skylar Gear and I'm so proud to be the student director of this incredible production. Matthew Shepard was born on December 1st, 1976. In life, he was described as being kind-hearted and a gentle young man. Despite being characterized as soft-spoken, he had a tremendous voice when it came to human rights and the acceptance of others. Matt was avidly involved in his on-campus LGBT organization and other community events. His school guidance counselor once said that he could foresee Matt leaning towards human rights activism and social justice, certainly as a passion, but also as a potential career. This, of course, only adds to the tragic irony regarding his ultimate death. Matt's voice is heard even today in sources like the Laramie Project. Please help me welcome one of our actresses, Ruby Nolan, who is playing Romaine Patterson, to share a monologue about Matt's life in Laramie.
Well, we never really called him Matthew, actually. Most of the time we called him Choo Choo. You know, because we used to call him Matchu, and then we just called him Choo Choo. But whenever I think of Matthew, I always think of his incredible beaming smile. I mean, he'd walk in the room and be like, you know, and he'd just smile at everyone. He made you feel great. And Matthew would he would sit in the coffee shop on the end seat so he could talk to me while I was working every time. And if someone was sitting in that seat, he would just sit there and stare at them until they left. And then he claimed a spot. But, well, Matthew definitely had a political side to him. I mean, that's all his big interest was watching CNN, MSNBC. He was really into political affairs, and he was really smart in political affairs, but he wasn't too smart on common sense things. So he moved to Laramie to go to school.
Hi, my name is Emily Nolan, and I'm the stage manager of our production of the Laramie Project. Today I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the murder of Matthew Shepard. Matthew Shepard walked into the Fireside Bar on October 6, 1998. It was there that he would come into contact with Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson. By the end of the night, the two had concocted a plan that had luring Matthew to their vehicle so they could rob him. After getting into the car, they threatened, beat, and stole Matthew's things. They then drove up to the outskirts of Laramie, Wyoming, where they would later tie Matthew to a fence with a clothesline, violently beat him, and rob him of his shoes. Shepard would spend the next 18 hours fighting for his life until a young man biking, Aaron Kreefels, stumbled upon the site. With a blood-soaked face and severe injuries, Shepard was transported to the hospital. He spent 6 days after the attack there, where he would later die from his injuries. And now we're going to have a few of our actors perform some of their monologues from the show. At first, we'll have Megan Phillips, who is cast as Reggie Flutie, present a short monologue. Following her will be Daniel Orozco, who is cast as Andrew Gomez. And finally, we'll have Abigail Fixel, who is cast as Aaron Kreefels.
When I got there, at first, the only thing I could see was partially somebody's feet. So I got out of my vehicle and I raced over, and I'd seen what appeared to be a young man, 13, 14 years old, because he was so tiny and he was tied to the bottom end of a pole. I did the best I could. The gentleman that was laying on the ground, Matthew Shepard, he was covered in dry blood. There was blood all over his head. There was dry blood underneath him, and he was barely breathing. He was doing the best he could. I was going to breathe for him, and I couldn't get his mouth open. His mouth just wouldn't open for me. He was covered in, like I said, partially dry blood and blood all over his head. The only place he did not have any blood on him was on his face, from where it had appeared he had been crying down his face. His head was distorted, It didn't look normal. It looked as if he had a real harsh head wound. They showed me a picture. Days later, saw a picture of Matthew, and I would have never recognized him.
I was working in the emergency room the night Matthew was brought in. I don't think that any of us can remember seeing a patient in that condition for a long time. I mean, those of us who've worked in big city hospitals have seen this, but we have some people here who've not worked in big city hospitals, and it's not something you expect here. You expect it. You expect this kind of injury to come from a car going down a hill at 80 miles an hour. You expect to see gross injuries from something like that. But this horrendous, terrible thing, you don't expect to see that from someone doing this to another person. The ambulance report said it was a beating, so we know.
So I got up and I was just kind of dusting myself off, and I was looking around, and I noticed something, which ended up to be Matt. He was just lying there by a fence, and I just thought it was a scarecrow. I mean, Halloween's coming up. I thought it was someone's Halloween gag, so I didn't think much of it. So I picked up my bike and walked it around the fence that was there. It was a buck-type fence, and got closer to him. And that's when I noticed his hair. And that was a major key to me, realizing it was a human being, was his hair. Because I just thought it was a dummy. Like, seriously, I even saw his chest. moving up and down. And I just thought it was a dummy. You know, I thought it was some kind of mechanism. But when I saw hair, well, I knew it was a human being. So I ran to the nearest house. I ran just as fast as I could and called the police.
Hi, my name is Caden Horton, the assistant stage manager of this production, and I will be discussing Matthew Shepard's impact following his death. Since this horrendous incident, Matthew's story has had an impact which far exceeds the Laramie borders. What began with international memorials and vigils has grown into action and progress. This national tragedy has yielded some good in the form of legislation protecting LGBT individuals from hate crimes within the United States, the Matthew Shepard Foundation, which protects and provides resources for LGBT youth, and of course, the Laramie Project, an award-winning play written and produced by the Tectonic Theater Company. I will now be introducing Anna Ceballos as Zubeida Ula and Katie Renzi as Catherine Connolly.
We went to the candle vigil, and it was so good to be with people who felt like crap. I kept feeling like I don't deserve to feel this bad, you know? And someone got up there and said, he said, blah, 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 blah. I'm saying it wrong. But basically, he said, come on, guys, let's show the world that Laramie is not this kind of town. But it is this kind of town. If it wasn't this kind of town, why did it happen here? I mean, you know what I mean, right? Like, that's a lie. Because it happened here. So how could it not be a town where this kind of thing happens? Like, that's just totally, like, looking at an Escher painting and getting all confused. It's totally circular logic. How can you even say that? And we have to mourn this. And we have to be sad that we live in a town, a state, a country where stuff like this happens. These are people trying to distance themselves from a crime. And we need to own this crime. I feel everyone needs to own it. We are like this. We are like this. We are like this.
The arraignment was on Friday, right around lunchtime. So I said, I'm just going. I just took off. It's right down the street. So I walked a few blocks and I went. Has anyone told you about the arraignment? There were probably 100 people from town and probably as many news media by that point. A lot more details had come out. The fact that the perpetrators were kids themselves, local kids, that everyone who's from here has had some relationship to. And what everyone was really, I think, waiting on pins and needles for was what would happen when the perpetrators walked in. And what happened? There's 200 people in the room at this point. They walked in their complete orange jumpsuits and their shackles, and you could have heard a pin drop. It was incredibly solemn. I mean, lots of people were teary at that point. Then the judge came in and did a reading. There was a reading of the evidence that the prosecutors had, and it's just a statement of the facts and a reading of the facts.
Up next, our production crew's chiefs will discuss their technical designs.
Hello, my name is Colin Cates, and I am the set chief for Laramie Project. And a show as unique as the Laramie Project requires a very unique set. And so one of the biggest themes recurring throughout the play is the bright blue sky of Laramie. And we really wanted to incorporate this into our play. And so in cooperation with lights, we're going to have this blue sky of Laramie. And so what Set decided to do is we found old acrylic sheets and we're turning them into clouds so they will be as transparent as a real cloud. And originally, we had wanted to incorporate the fence of Laramie where Matthew Shepard died, unfortunately, or was tied. And after meeting with the director, Mr. Kaufman, or the writer, Mr. Kaufman, we learned that they tried it and it created a very depressing atmosphere to the play. And that's not what we wanted. So we decided to cut the fence. And now, since the set is so diverse, we needed a way to make rooms for the interviews. And so with that, we decided to build flats that the actors will roll around on stage and create the scene that they need. And so with that, that would be our set. And we wanted to incorporate a new lighting tech element. We are going to try and incorporate projections. So that's going to be quite interesting. You'll have to come see it in person.
So my name is Brielle Riggs, and I am the props chief along with one of our tectonic actors who is Barbara Pitts. So one of the things that we were going to try to do is have some notebooks and pens for the tectonic members to jot down their notes on their interviews. We were going to have some candles for the vigil, and then we were also going to have the hate signs. We were going to have some of the hate signs, which are going to be used from here. And where I found this was I Googled the photos, and the production that they were actually using for this one was from King's School, which was their production of the Laramie Project.
Hi, my name is Brooke Clyatt, and I'm costume chief. And for our production of the Laramie Project, our costume design consists of the characters playing the people who are being interviewed in Wyoming, wearing all black and having a couple simple costume pieces, such as hats, necklaces, and jackets, that they can put on stage to show them transforming into character. However, our tectonic members, who are doing the interviews themselves, are wearing full casual outfits the entire play. Another thing that costumes was constructing were the angel wings using bent clothes hangers and white cloth.
Hello, my name is Rachel Stallings, and I am the light chief for the Laramie Project. And for the light design, we were going to use the cyclorama and the gels to create colors such as the blue for the sky, and we were going to change the colors based on the mood. We were also planning to do a projection design where we were going to use a shower curtain and put the projector behind the shower curtain so it wouldn't be at any weird angles or be in the way of anything or in the audience. And for the projection design, we were going to do a slideshow of everyone during the interview so you can compare it to the actors.
Hi, my name is Sarah Moore. I am sound chief for the Laramie Project, and for this play, our design concept was to use floor mics instead of actual mics that the actor could hold or be strapped to their body. Since this play is there's a lot of switches, we decided to use them because that way everyone could hear it and it would be easier for everyone, even the actors.
Hi, my name is Madison Espling Escuero. I am the publicity chief, as well as I play Tectonic Theater member Greg Periotti. A big focus for our design was the blue sky of Wyoming, which I'm sure you've already heard about. And it was the main color in all of our designs, which I will show you one of our basic designs real quick. This was one of our original basic designs just for sharing. It wasn't a finalized thing. But this is what we were sharing out in the public with the blue and the fence that you saw earlier with set. And another thing we were really working on is we're reaching out to the community. We were specifically looking into reaching out to LGBT organizations such as Jasmine, which is here in our local community. That way we could understand the life experience and importance behind sharing this story.
Now, to talk about some different aspects of our rehearsal process, I introduce cast members, Hannah Alexander, Morgan Toole, Madeline Krawchuk, and Jaden Kohler.
Hello, my name is Hannah Alexander, and I play Lee Fondakowski in the Laramie Project. Today I'm going to be talking about the Tectonic Theater Group, and they are an award-winning stage and theater group whose plays have been performed worldwide. They were part of conducting interviews for the Laramie Project and alongside helped Mr. Coughlin writing the script. The New York-based project traveled to Laramie, Wyoming, recording hours of interviews with the town citizens over a 2-year period. The company is dedicated to developing innovative works that explore theatrical language and theatrical form to show an artistic dialogue with audiences on the social, political, and human issues that affect everyone in the world today.
Greetings, my name is Morgan Toole, and I am playing Jedediah Schultz, John Peacock, Philip Dubois, and Doug Laws. As Ms. Paolini touched on in the beginning, as per the rights of this play, we were not allowed to exempt any derogatory terms towards the LGBT plus community. So we as a troupe did these exercises to delve into the true meaning and impact of these calumnies. We researched the history of these slurs, how they ended up applying to the members of the LGBT plus community, and what the actual definition was. In order to capture a more well-rounded grasp on the weight of these slanders, we shared our preconceived notions of these insults, the experiences we are reminded of when we hear these words. It was very important to us that we become well-educated and empathetic on the topic and avoid becoming desensitized to these hateful names at all costs. We all knew that we needed to fully understand these things so that we could properly portray these intense topics to the public.
Hello, my name is Madeline Krawczyk, and I am playing Tectonic Theater Project member Amanda Gronich. As for the rehearsal process, the past couple years for our spring play, we performed primarily children's theater. Last year, we did Jungle Book. The year before, we did a Cinderella spinoff. So with the rehearsal processes for those, we didn't do the language studies with the primary focus on social issues like we've done with the Laramie Project. Also, blocking in moments is far different than blocking typical scenes. Moments are shorter and have more of a perpetual motion to them as opposed to blocking typical scenes in any other play. It's been a phenomenal opportunity to tell Matthew's story and focus on the significant social issue.
Hi, my name is Jaden Kohler, and I play Tectonic member Stephen Belber. Initially, when the troupe was deciding which show we should do, most of us were leaning more towards a comedy. Our actors have a lot of experience with comedy, so it seemed like a comfortable option. But when Ms. Paolini introduced the idea of Laramie, many of us were extremely excited. While there are some comedic parts in Laramie, the main message that the show was delivering was extremely serious, and we didn't know exactly how our community would react. Rather than worrying about that, though, we all knew that portraying such an important theme was something we not only should do, but something we really wanted to do. As soon as we got the rights to the show and began working on it, we knew it was going to be phenomenal. Participating in such an important show with an important message inspired all of us to work as hard as we could, actors and techies alike.
Thank you so much for watching this special program. We appreciate your time, your support. We will let you know when we will be presenting this production. For now, stay safe, and we wish you the best. Thank you.